Hey everybody, this is take two. I realized that my last video that I have now deleted from a few minutes ago, the audio was just too low, and so I'm recording this again. If any of you want to jump on and give me a comment if you can hear what I'm saying, that would be great. But I want to just give a more abbreviated version of what I just was talking about. Something on my heart to share with all of you in this group is that sometimes we're looking for spirit or God, or it could be a healer or someone outside of us to somehow fix a problem or challenge that we're having. And I encounter this a fair amount because people come to me because they're having challenges in life and they want to be able to access more of their innate spiritual power. And this is something through my own practice and through my own development of various techniques I've been able to work with in myself and in my family and with others. So it's very tempting to say, okay, I'm going to go to this guy or fill the blank in with any modality. I'm going to go to therapy, or I'm going to go and try this technique, and that is going to do all the work that I need to have done, and that's going to fix me, it's going to heal me, it's going to tap me in some way to all of this unlimited potential that I've come to be aware is possible. Many of us have read metaphysical books, done spiritual techniques. We've opened our minds that there is an infinite truth, even when in this physical world things seem not to be very possible. Seems to be, we're told there's not a cure for that, or we just don't know what to do in this situation, or we were born into a very challenging situation and we want to break out of that financially, career-wise, success-wise, health-wise. We don't want to relive the relationship patterns, for instance, of our parents. How do we change that? Well, sort of one of the sidebars or pitfalls of the spiritual path is that we may believe that there is someone or something outside of us that is going to still do the work for us. Now, we may not call that person a traditional name. We may call them a spiritual healer. We may call them, a person who has access to a particular modality. What I'm trying to say in this video is that there's a part of our path, our development, that only we can do. There's something that only we can do, choices we can make, decisions, inner decisions and outer decisions that only are ours to do. Nobody else can do that work for us. I use the example even of therapy. People sometimes, very traditionally, in sort of Western civilization, people might go to therapy if they're having some kind of difficulty in life that's maybe not strictly at a physical level. Maybe it's more relationship or emotional or mental. They go to therapy. And sometimes you hear people say, well, I went to therapy for years, and that didn't even fix the challenge I was having. They might tell you sometimes. And so a question to that, a follow-up question might be, well, okay, you did therapy, whatever that might mean in your case, but did you do it authentically? Did you do it deeply? Sometimes there are therapists who are not super great. You may not have found the right person, but even if you had the ideal person for you, were you authentically open, available, vulnerable, ready, willing to make the inner decisions to realize that the therapist is not going to do the work for you, even if you were with, the ultimate therapist in the entire world? That person could not do anything for you until or unless you became authentically available, ready, willing, opened yourself in some way, got out of your story in some way, got out of either blaming other people, whatever, and really realized, I have to do my inner work. I have to open myself. Someone else can help. Someone else can facilitate, but they ultimately cannot do the work for me. And I want to say that this distinction between what is ours to do and what is only ours to do, and what someone else can help us to facilitate with is a very, very important distinction to make. I'll give you an example. People sometimes contact me around issues of Well, clearing, say for instance, relationship clearing, could be with their parents, it could be with their ex, it could be with their current partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. It could be with some other person in their life. And they may ask, well, can you clear this relationship and so we'll have a wonderful, positive experience now? And I've learned to listen to people's words more over the years and also to tune into their energy more, to be able to discern where someone may be at in terms of their own personal choices. Have they made the appropriate and the necessary personal choices of forgiveness and release authentically and deeply enough in the situation where someone like me coming on board, or someone, say, external to their situation, can come in and really do some very helpful work with them. If someone has not done that inner work from a surrendered place, in other words, they haven't recognized their role in the challenging situation, they haven't taken personal responsibility, they haven't felt their feelings deeply and authentically as they need to, they haven't come into the work in a place of authentic readiness and surrender. They're still thinking that someone else from outside of them is to blame, and therefore the natural idea is that someone outside of them they feel is going to be the one to fix the situation. So my response sometimes to people who come to me asking about that kind of clearing is to say that until they've really created that inner space, until they've done the work that is theirs to do and only theirs to do in the situation, that the clearing work may not seem to have an awful lot of effect for them. We can actually test this by, say someone does a clearing, we can actually test to see to what degree has the clearing actually accessed or penetrated into their emotional body. In other words, we look at their emotional body specifically, and the person may have received only 10% of the total benefit of a clearing session in their emotional body. Now, why is that only 10%? Why isn't it 100%? It's because that differential between 10 and 100, in that case, is where the person's own conscious work is done. It's where they need to become more open. They need to take personal responsibility. They need to discern what exactly is theirs to do and do it deeply and authentically. No one else can do that work for them. I used the example earlier even of a therapist. Therapist cannot forgive on behalf of someone, on behalf of their client. They can only help to reflect and help the client to discern, oh, wait a minute, yeah, I've actually, beneath my story here, I've been holding on to a tremendous amount of anger and deep hurt and blame and pain. And I have to acknowledge that. I have to feel that. I have to find the ways to release that and to process that so that I can become available to the infinite goodness that's trying to reach me. The infinite goodness that many people call God, they call the universe, they call the spirit, they call spirit. That goodness isn't available to us if we're locked down or holding on to our past resentments, past unforgiveness, if we have not yet chosen to empower ourselves by doing the work that only we can do. A favorite phrase of mine that was said to me once by a spiritual teacher is, when we take one step towards God, God takes 1,000 steps towards us. You can fill in the word universe or spirit or life or abundance or healing, health, vitality, whatever that is you're looking for. When you take one step authentically, fully, deeply, when you take that small amount of action that is only yours to do, only you can do it, and when you do that deeply, the universe opens with much greater proportion to you than the effort that you have put in. We're co-creative. There's a microcosm within you that consists, all of your different bodily organs and the different lobes of your brain all represent different features. It's like a universe within you. When you master this inner universe, when you begin to release and work with the different emotions and inner alchemy, you begin to transcend just your story or what your parents gave you or what your religion gave you or what the misperceptions you've had or the limitations you put on yourself from your childhood, when you begin to work through that consciously, you begin to open yourself to a power that is just beyond your own personal self. You begin to tap into the energy of the universe. Now, what's the pitfall around that? In New Age, which I'm getting less and less to be a fan of, in the New Age movement, people often bypass the whole personal aspect of this. They say, well, forgiveness, that's for those people who are going to therapy. What I'm eating, how I'm moving my body, really working deeply on how angry I am and beginning to mobilize that old energy, forgiving my parents, that's all three-dimensional. People use terms like that to describe their resistance. They sometimes say that that's too mundane, that's too three-dimensional, that's too here and now. That's what everyone's trying to do in therapy. So I'm going to try to transcend all of that and go and work with this, love and light. I'm going to go work with this higher spiritual energy. So I'm going to work with past lives only. I get this a lot because this is the major aspect of my work. Yes, past lives. Yes, subconscious. Yes, ancestral karma clearing. Very, very important work, but we cannot use that work instead of doing the personal work, the work that is only ours to do. If we are hard-hearted and we're holding on, we haven't authentically found a way, not just mentally forgiving, not pretending to forgive, not getting ungrounded enough where we don't feel the anger as much as we used to, but really feeling it, processing it. It takes great courage. It takes time to do this. When we do that, take one step towards God, God takes 1,000 steps towards us. All of a sudden, if we are to do karma clearing work at that point, the work has massive immediate effect. You see how this works? There's a part of our path that's only ours to do, that we have to choose here and now. We have to choose in our density, in the physical, in the emotional, in the mental, right here and right now. Each one of us has to do that. No one is above that. We're a microcosm of spirit in this physical body. We're important. We're here to gain mastery at this level. And there's also another aspect that is universal. Many people are trying to tap into the universal without having dealt with the personal. Oof, that's a good one. Many people, let me say that again. Many people are trying to tap into the universal without first having dealt with the personal. They think, I'm going to transcend the personal, go into this universal sense. I'm not going to deal with any of this mundane 3D stuff. Those are people who are often, in my experience, doing this work for many years and being around the spiritual path a bit, those are the people who often are chronically stuck. They don't think that they're stuck because they get kind of a temporary high from doing spiritual work, but they haven't really dealt with the denser stuff yet. And so the stuff that they're creating or the stuff that they're tapping into at the spiritual level isn't really showing up in three-dimensional. And let's face it, all of us want stuff to show up in three-dimensional. We don't want just there to be some clarity somewhere off in some distant body, in some distant heaven, in some future lifetime. We don't want that. We want the stuff now. What do I mean by stuff? We want to feel good. We want to feel in loving relationships. We want to feel purposeful on earth. We want to know all of our needs are met. We want to feel like the body temple is activating, is feeling good, is able to support our spiritual path. I heard Michael Beckwith talk about this just yesterday, live streaming from his place at Agape. He was saying, we want to have the body temple feel good enough. We want to do our exercise and our stretching. We want to do our right eating. We want to learn about health and take care of ourselves so that we don't have to constantly be blocked and stuck by the body feels so terrible every day that we can't get on with our life. Now, for some of us, the body temple is our major aspect of healing, perhaps in this lifetime, and that's our main focal point. We need to focus on how do I actualize and heal the body temple. And that's an important part of our spiritual path. What I'm saying is that we want to access and stabilize all these different areas of our life. We want to have the stuff that we talk about in the spiritual path. We want to have it here in 3D. We want to make this lifetime in physical world really coherent, really balanced, really connected to the spiritual, connected to something transcendent, connected to something powerful. We want to bring heaven to earth. We don't want to just get ungrounded and think about heaven in some ungrounded way. We want to have it here and now. Let me get back to what I was saying initially. So there's a part of this path that only we can do. We have to do the 3D stuff. We have to do the honest emotional stuff, the denser stuff that many people on a spiritual path are sometimes looking to avoid, or they haven't gone deeply and authentically enough with it. I'm telling this to myself, by the way, and to each one of you, that there's always a new level of depth, another layer, a deeper level of self-discovery and authenticity that we can go to, that when we do that, it's kind of like pulling the cork out of our own human limitation, and suddenly we take that one step. Oh, all of a sudden I didn't realize I needed to forgive that person. All of a sudden I authentically feel the feelings. I authentically forgive them from my heart. And all of a sudden I've taken one step towards God. God takes 1,000 steps towards me. All of a sudden, this is weird. Areas of health, areas of success, areas of abundance are suddenly uncorked also. It's made much more easy. All of our areas of life are related. We take one step towards God. God works miraculously. Universe, Spirit, God works miraculously in infinite numbers of ways of our life as soon as we do what is ours to do. Let me conclude this little talk and just say, let me put it out there for us. And we can talk about this in the comments if you don't mind sharing. What is yours to do right now? What do you feel? What do you know is pressing on your heart that is yours to do? You might feel confused about your life and why are things turning out the way they are at this moment, but I'm telling you, there is some action step for you to do in your life, some way to go deeper. If you take a few minutes in quietness, it will be revealed to you, guaranteed. And when you take that action authentically, deeply, fully, you are saying yes to the universe. More so than repeating an affirmation 1,000 times. If you forgive authentically, if you take a positive, coherent, authentic action within yourself of revealing and of releasing what you've been holding on to, universe is taking 1,000 steps in your direction. Then every other form of spiritual work you've been doing, invoking angels, doing karma clearing work, all that sort of stuff becomes hugely more beneficial. But it can't fill a blocked container. Your container needs to be opened, uncorked, released from what it's been holding of anger, of unforgiveness, of whatever it is, tension, stress. It can be a big blocker. Once we release that stuff, universe can fill us. Universe can fill us as all of our needs met. So we're here to master this microcosm of our own personal life. And when we do that, we begin to transcend our personal story. We begin to open ourselves to the infinite life, the life of spirit, the life of all needs met. Can't bypass one for the other. You have to do the work here and now. No matter what spiritual path you're on, you still need to do this present work. And when you do, even though it's difficult at times, it's difficult for me to tell someone who's been on a spiritual path for 30 years, yeah, but you haven't really authentically forgiven. Square one. Beginner's mind. Start over again. You have to come back. It's not esoteric. It's not deep somewhere else. It's not on a high mountain somewhere. Your answer isn't there. It's starting right here, right now. It's doing what you already know. It's actually applying what you know more authentically, more deeply, getting real. We used to call it when I was a kid, getting real with God. It's time to get real with God, the minister used to tell me. Some good advice. Take a deep breath. Thanks for joining me in this video, friends. I'm happy to respond to any comments below. Thanks for watching.